Hi everybody. I wanted to make this video for a friend of mine. I lost a friend of mine a few years back. He wasn't like when everybody saw him. He looked like a typical nice guy. Very fun to be around, very polite, very humble, and he ended up taking his life. He ended up taking his life, y'all. He took his life, and nobody was expecting that. I wasn't expecting it. My best friend wasn't expecting it because my best friend was the one that introduced me to him. And he took his life, and we didn't know that he was dealing with depression or any of that. Nobody knew, not even his family. So I wanted to dedicate this video to a really good friend of mine. And I hope that this video really inspires those that are dealing with mental illness. Whether it be mental illness, whether it be you're going through depression, I really want this video to really make a difference in your life. And I hope that, the things that you're hearing from my testimony are able to help you in your journey into fighting that depression. And here's my story of how I fought 10 years of depression. And I really want to give this video out to my friend. I wish I was there for him at the time. I did not know that he was dealing with inner demons called depression, called, suicide. I did not know that he was dealing with that. So I want to give a shout out to him before I start this. So, Arrow, I love you. I have been battling with depression for over, I would say, 10 years of my life. And I didn't really know it was depression at first. I just kind of thought that, I probably just wasn't feeling good. There'd be days where I'd be like upset, and there'd be days where like I'd feel like, just, I don't know, I just have like up and downs. And I think it all started just years back where I think it was just more so of childhood. Like in the beginning, I remember like 10 years ago, while starting off high school, it was like I was in really bad relationships. And I think it all starts from home sometimes, or sometimes it could even be like the people that we associate with. And what happened with me was I would kind of hold things in. So a lot of the times I would be in a situation where, I was upset, and, me being an only child, like I would kind of hold things inside and not want to share it with anybody. So I would kind of just hold everything inside of me, and then I would not want to talk about it. And it would just kind of like add up. And then, if I was going through issues, I felt like I couldn't talk to anybody. And, those things would just pile up, and I would hold it inside for long periods of time. And then I would kind of, attach myself into these relationships with other individuals, sharing myself with individuals, whether it be in, one-on-one relationships with males, or whether it be, with females. I would find myself in positions where I would withdraw from people. And I kind of thought, me being angry from time to time, me being sleepy, me not necessarily wanting to talk to people, me having days where I wake up with a positive attitude, and then I end up, just withdrawing and just feeling kind of like depressed, or kind of like not even depressed, but before I even knew what depression was, I would kind of feel sad. Like I would get like sadness and, just these sad emotions. And sometimes you don't even know where it came from, but it's just kind of like you would just get these emotions inside of you. And that those years of just feeling sad would just kind of drain me. And then the thing too would be that when I would be in those moods, I would try to find relationships, to kind of cover those emotions. So I would jump into relationships with people, and that might not be the most healthiest, but I would try to, mend or basically numb my pain with having somebody around, especially having, for example, a boy, like somebody who, I can talk to, somebody that would tell me I was beautiful, I was wonderful, and, stuff like that. And I later on found out that, those relationships wouldn't necessarily make me feel any better, and it would only put me back in a place where I would be with somebody and then I would, I personally would still feel unhappy. And it would get to a point where, when those people are no longer there, I would still feel that way. I would still feel pain and I would use those people, as a way of, saying that, okay, they're the ones that hurt me and this is why I feel this way, not knowing that I already felt the way I did even before I got into those relationships with those people. And, years would pass by and I would still accumulate these feelings, these emotions, and it would get to the point where I would just detach myself away from friends, from family, and I would just, spend days sleeping and not doing anything, and I would even put myself down and just basically make myself feel like, I just wanted to die, like nothing was worth anything. And even though, in life we do have situations where, certain things do happen, you don't really feel that good sometimes, and it's part of human nature. But when you constantly feel that way 24 hours a day, then that's obviously a problem. And I didn't think so. It got to a point where I just thought, me having those negative thoughts, me feeling withdrawn, me feeling sad every single day became a norm for me. So I think what happened was once I started to feel those ways, just in my mind, like the negativity, like just being withdrawn, it just kind of escalated to the point where I wanted to, you know, take my life, and I didn't know why. Like I had no idea why, but it became, those sad emotions started to become a part of me where I wanted to take my life. I wanted to, like, I just thought I wasn't good enough, and I would just always be in a dark space. And until, just, I think until I was able to kind of take time for myself and really analyze, what I need and what I should not have in my life and the things that I do want in my life. I think after, just several years of just going through those withdrawn emotions, those sad emotions, and I think sometimes too, from me just going through those experiences of dealing with depression, I think it's kind of like sometimes even the relationships, people that we get ourselves involved in, like you might not even feel well and you start bringing in more people into your life. And sometimes certain people, when you're not in the right state of mind, they're easy. It's like easy for them to just have access and make you feel even worse because you allow those people to come in, right? Because those individuals who you bring into your life, you're kind of at a fragile state. And that's kind of where I was at. Like I was in a very fragile state and I would bring random friends, random people, and they can tell, like, as human beings, we can kind of sense when an individual isn't all the way kept together. And sometimes there are people out there who are not going to uplift you, but they're going to make you feel even worse, right? So I just, I would get myself into bad relationships, and it just made the depression even worse. And I did not know that I had depression, especially in my community, people of color. We, the POC community, like, we don't necessarily talk about, mental health. We don't talk about stuff like that. Like, we kind of just put it to the side, like, oh, you're just going through something, it is what it is, keep it moving. Like, we don't necessarily talk about mental health. We don't talk about, we don't really talk about that because it's not something that we would necessarily talk about in the home, right? And I was battling it for so long, and, people would just, kind of, like, people that knew me, like, such as, my family members, or even those that are really close to me, they didn't really necessarily know what was wrong with me, but they knew something was up. And the thing that kind of triggered, even for my personal family members to kind of figure out that, hey, she has a problem, was, when I got to the extreme of, like, suicidal thoughts and whatnot, like those things, when I started to withdraw, when I wasn't taking care of myself anymore, I would sleep in more, having negative thoughts and just holding everything in. Like, that's when, my relatives are like, hey, you know what, like, let's really, let's see what's going on. She needs help, after those attempts of suicide and whatnot. That's kind of when I started to, consider taking therapy. And through therapy, I was able to just go to therapy and, just speak to somebody, and for me personally, that helped, just being able to speak to somebody and, just have somebody speak to me and listen to me. That was something really important. And people of color, a lot of the times, we always put therapy as in you're psychotic, you're crazy, there's something wrong with you if you get therapy, and a lot of the times it's not, like, all those myths, all of those things that they teach us, like, it's not true. Like, that is just, it's not true at all. And it's just, I think with therapy, like, I was able to kind of, like, get to a space where I could, like, really see what was inside of me. So a lot of the so-called depression that I was going through, it was more so of, like, childhood issues, things that I went through, like personal things, like I just was not able to cope. Like, I didn't know how to cope with certain things properly, and it was kind of like building up inside of me. So with the therapist that I went to, she was able to, to analyze certain events in my life, whether it be from me being small into, adolescence, adulthood. Like, we were able to kind of break things down. And sometimes with a lot of therapists, they tend to really analyze each event in your life to kind of see exactly where the triggers were, what the events are. And then from being able to break down the events, they're able to kind of speak to you, and you're able to kind of go back into those events and try to reconcile with some of the issues that you may have probably subconsciously still be holding in, but in your everyday mind, you're not necessarily, thinking about it, but it's showing on the outside. It's, exuding itself from the outside. And that's kind of my thing. Like, I was walking around with years of, baggage, just constant baggage, like walking around with depression, old relationships, just always finding myself in a situation where my past would be in my present. And the present should be a place where, it's brand new. Every day is a new day. It's supposed to be something positive where at least your future would be better. But for me and for many other individuals, sometimes we drag our past and we put it into the present, and then the negative things from our past, it's like we're no longer there, but we're still living it. You know what I mean? Like whether it be, abuse, like you were being abused when you were younger, or, somebody was bullying you, or you felt like, you felt like a failure because certain things didn't work out in the past. But now that you're in the present, it's like you still feel like that loser. You still feel like that person who was put down. You still have those emotions with you. So what therapy did for me was it was able to help me, let go of the past in a sense of being able to speak about my issues, but analyzing exactly certain events and learning to let go and learning to heal. It was more so healing as well too, and letting go. And even outside of therapy, because, it's great to speak to somebody. Like for somebody like me, like I don't have, a big support group, but I do have, a few relatives. Like I am an only child, like I have a small support group, but for somebody like me sometimes, and I think for many people that are in my situation, when you talk to family members and you talk to them about your problems, sometimes it's kind of like they would understand you to an extent, but it just feels different when you go outside of your comfort zone and you're able to speak to somebody who may not necessarily know you, but they're more so focused into the things that you're telling them. So for me, therapy was a great thing. And even outside of therapy, the thing that helped me was learning to just be able to mentally train my mind, reprogram my mind, reprogram the way I think, because for me, like growing up, I grew up in a very, I would say a healthy environment, but sometimes when you encounter, different people in different walks of life, especially when you're still trying to get to know the world and you don't really have a strong foundation mentally. Sometimes certain people can get into your head, and if you allow them to. But for when you're really young, like certain circumstances can cause you to, feel a certain way about yourself. And sometimes those things kind of mold into what we would call depression. And depression, there's many forms of depressions. I'm not going to get into too much of it in this video, but for me, going back into how I was able to heal, just being able to reprogram my mind, starting off by, doing a lot of self-help reading. I was able to read a lot of books on self-help, being able to reprogram my mind with exercises, such as healing and things that just encourage me on a daily basis. And some people use religion, like I've used religion to help me as well too, just being able to meditate, which meditation, of course, is not a religion. It's just another form of practice that you can use to exercise just your subconscious thoughts by just rearranging your thought process. And I was able to use meditation as well as mixing my religion together in order to heal. I was able to just, read a lot of self-help books, and there's a few that I'm going to list below for those that are wondering what type of books I'm reading currently right now. I'm definitely going to put some of those under the video. And, there are, even people, I had to cut certain people off, certain people I no longer speak to. They might be good people, but for where I'm trying to be, they're not necessarily good for me. So certain people had to be cut off within my journey. And also, I find that, the foods that we eat too play a really big part. If you're drinking a lot of water, getting enough sleep, if people don't really know, sleeping actually has a big impact on the way you feel, and even the foods that we eat. So if you're sleeping, if you don't feel well, and say for example you're up at 8 a.m. or 10 a.m. for example, and you go to sleep at 4 in the morning, and then you wake up at 8 a.m. or you wake up at 6 a.m. If you have a small amount of sleep and you're eating junk, most likely that's going to have a big impact on your mental well-being. And getting rest as well as eating good, all those things really have a big impact on your well-being as well as your environment too, like keeping a clean home and being able to just be around positive people and great energy. Like, your surroundings, whether it be where you live as well as the people that you communicate with, has a really big impact on the way you feel. And that's kind of how I've been able to fight the battle of depression. For me, it was just all about starting off with the things that I read and learning to let go of comparisons. Because sometimes I find too with depression, when we don't feel well, or for example, if you're in a situation where you lost your job and you're constantly looking at other people that are at a different level than you're at the moment, you can't compare your life or what you have to a person that has something completely different. You guys are not on the same level. So comparison has a really big impact on your mental well-being. Like, you need to stop comparing yourself to other individuals. And that's kind of what I did. Like, I got to a point where I was able to just stop comparing my life, stop comparing myself to others. So for me, it's more so of like me just being in tune with myself and focusing on my lane and what I'm best at. So I had to basically let go of other individuals and other opinions and just focus on myself. And opinions that did come, if it had value in my mind or if it was going to help me out, whether it be friends giving me support, whether it be my parents, whether it be counseling, whatever positive information I got, I just made sure I put it in my mind. That was the best way for me to fight depression. And also, I remember I spoke to a really good friend of mine's, and I remember he told me, he's like, if I feel bad, if, for example, I took my life, if I feel bad about myself, if I don't move around, I don't do anything for my life, the world's still moving. People are still going to live, and if I feel like garbage and I'm just, laying in the couch and I'm not doing anything and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to kill myself today, or, it's not worth it, I'm going to let depression take over me, the world's still moving. People are still moving around. People, like, you're just maybe like 0.000 minus the 9% of what the world actually is. As sad as it is, but that's just the reality. So I kind of had to take into consideration that I need to basically better myself. I need to get out of the funk. I like calling depression the funk because it's a funk. Like it's a way to just, it brings you down. It's a feeling of negativity that's just bringing you down. Like for me, it's more so of, when I was able to walk away from depression, it's not easy, like there's still little things I need to like change, but it's not easy. You're not going to wake up one morning and be like, hey, I beat depression. That's not how things work. No, that's not how it's going to work. You need to start off by just small steps. For me, it was, hey, you know what? I'm going through depression. What am I going to do? I'm going to get that counselor. If I can't afford a counselor, and keep in mind, there are colleges, if you're in college or university or, community college, how you Americans say it, and university, whatever, there are programs where you can go to your school and see if you can get like an appointment to speak to somebody once a week. There are opportunities out there, and if you have insurance, even if you don't, you can go to group counseling. There's so much information. We'll put all of that below this video. But for me, it's more so of finding ways such as reading self-help books, speaking to counselors, changing your friendships, changing what you watch. Like for me, I remember what I started doing too was I kind of cut back on social media. Like I would delete Instagram, I would delete Facebook. I wouldn't necessarily delete it, but I would just, when you have an app, delete, right? Like I would just kind of remove myself from social media for a bit, take a hiatus from it, take a break, and kind of reevaluate my life, reevaluate my purpose and where I want to be. Like the thing with depression too is when you know your purpose or you have a goal for yourself, sometimes having a goal kind of changes your mind. Like you kind of, instead of putting the focus on the things that you don't have, because those things that you lack can develop into depression. So sometimes focusing on a goal such as, okay, you want to, I don't know, start a YouTube channel. What types of things you want to talk about on YouTube, or you want to, make a book. Like, okay, but how are you going to make a book? Start writing. You start to create ideas. You start to focus on, certain goals, certain things that you want to focus on. And then when you start focusing on something positive and something that you can actually do, those negative thoughts, those things that just come into our minds, those things start to kind of dwindle away, because your mind is kind of focused on the things that you like, the things that you want to go, like the places that you want to go, the people that you want to see. Like at the end of the day, it's kind of like, you just gotta take your energy, your mind, and kind of shift it. And it's not gonna be easy. Like it took me 10 years, and I'm still work in progress, but it took me 10 years of trials and tribulations, for me to get to the point where I'm starting to become okay with myself. I'm starting to have a goal. And the thing that really made it good for me was, for example, art. Art was, an escape from depression. Like when I start to do art, I kid you not, when I'm, whether it be drawing, whether it be painting, whatever it is that I'm doing, it's an escape. Like I'm able to escape from the negative thoughts, depression, feeling that funk. That eliminates all of that for me, because in my mind, I have a goal, and my goal is, just being focused, having that, art piece, that canvas finished, being able to see myself 5 years from now. When you're in depression, a lot of the times your future gets blurred out, and all you're thinking about is the past. You're thinking about you're not good enough. You're thinking about all those things that people said about you, which are completely not true, because those same human beings who come to you and bring you down, those same voices, those same negative voices, at the end of the day, it's all imaginary. It's all public opinion. The only opinion that matters is yourself. And a lot of the times we just need to reprogram our minds. I had to reprogram my mind. I had to change my mind. I had to change my lifestyle. I had to change my friends. I had to change all of that in order for me to be the person I am right now. And it's still a struggle. But after 10 years of just, soul searching, trials and tribulations, loving who I am, like loving myself, loving, everything about me, learning to accept myself. I kid you not, when you start to have that self-love, those voices, those negative voices, whether it be voices that were said to you, whether it be your own imaginary voice, all those voices start to dwindle down. They just start to dwindle down. Reading positive books, meditation. Meditation is a positive way to reprogram your mind. Just meditating on positive things. You can meditate on your future and where you want to be. You can meditate on the person that you want to exude out to the public. All of those things have a great impact on your mental well-being. Like you're able to kick depression out. Funk no longer should be a part of your lifestyle. And as human beings, I kid you not, like there's days where I'm going to feel down, because that's just part of the human experience. We're humans. But if you have it on a daily basis, then you need to learn how to control that. Sometimes you even need to force yourself. Like I have to force myself personally to change my mindset. I have to change my thought process. I have to change everything about me in my mind in order for me to feel good. I got to change my vision, even if my day is garbage. And I feel like my day is garbage. I have to wake up and look at the things that I'm thankful about. My health, my family, those that care about me, all those things. Like when you start to appreciate the littlest things, all those negative thoughts about depression, I kid you not, it will slowly dwindle. Standing up. Nobody else is going to stand up for you except for yourself. You are the only one that is able to rise up and stand up for yourself. Because nobody in this world is going to do it for you except for yourself. You are your own cheerleader. I had to be my own cheerleader. I had to be the one being like, hey, you know what? It's time for you to stand up. It's time for you to do something. Change your life around. Change yourself. What do you not like about yourself? The things that you can change that you don't like, what is it? Change that. Accept yourself. Appreciate yourself. You're human. Stand up for yourself. Stop caring about what he said, she said. Those opinions don't matter. Sometimes you gotta take yourself away from the general public for a minute and reevaluate your life. The things that you couldn't change anymore, then accept it. Accept it and move on and make your present better so that your future doesn't have to be how it was in the past. That's kind of where my mindset's at right now. That's how I was able to change myself. That's how I was able to be free from depression. It's not easy. I understand. Like, those that are watching, like those that have been dealing with depression, or those that know somebody that's dealing with depression, it's not easy. It's not. Like, I completely know that it's not easy. You're going to wake up some days where you're like, I'm done with life. I'm done. It's not easy at all because I know how it is. I know how it feels. I know how it feels to wake up every morning and be like, I'm done. I'm done. Nothing's going to work out. Things are just going to be like, whatever. You know, like you're done with life. You're just like, I'm going to sit down in my bed and not do anything. I know how it's like. But at the end of the day, when you have faith in yourself, when you change your mindset, when you stop caring about the general public's opinion and you start taking matters into your own hands, everything that you have planned, whether it be, you wanting to, start a business, whether it be you wanting to go back into things that you love, whether it be you just building yourself, feeling good about yourself, all of it starts in the mind. The mind is a powerful thing. And sometimes I know that the mind is not an easy thing, because even if you say you don't want to feel this way, in your mind, you got a voice telling you, oh, you ain't da-da-da, or, oh, you're not going to make it, or you're not this. Remember what your auntie said to you 5 years ago? Remember he dumped you? He doesn't want to be with you? No. He doesn't want to be with you, or she doesn't want to be with you. Who cares? There are a billion other people in this world, and there's going to be somebody out there for you. That's kind of the type of mentality that I had to have for myself. Like, I had to be my own cheerleader. And when you start cheering yourself up instead of looking for validation on the outside, it's going to change a lot. And you're going to see that thing that we call depression, that big like depression that would just kick in randomly and try to come at you about things of the past. And it's going to go. It's going to leave. It's going to go, and it was big, and it's just going to get smaller and smaller and smaller, and it's just going to disappear. But as humans, like I said, we all have our down days. But let's not allow our down days to be an everyday cycle for us. We can't be allowing that to happen. You can't allow the negativity to run your life. You got to be the one in control. You got to allow yourself to be the one running that negativity. Because one thing I learned too is within the 10 years that I struggled with depression, I allowed that depression to rob me of so much. I allowed it to rob me of relationships. I allowed it to rob me of experiencing the beauty of life. I allowed it to rob me of experiencing my true essence as being myself. I allowed it to hinder me from so much opportunities in the past. But today, in 2017, it's no longer going to have control over me. I am the one in control of that depression. Depression is no longer a part of me. And I have myself to thank for. I have myself to thank for because I was able to get up one day after years of negative thinking, sleeping, suicidal thoughts. I was able to stand up for myself and go and get the help that I needed. And I know it's not easy, even for my brothers and sisters of people of color. I know it's not easy sometimes, especially in a community where, we're seen as crazy. You get help, you're labeled as crazy. What are you doing? It's for crazy people. We don't do that. You got religion. I get it. But it starts off with the mind. It starts off, if you can't, because one thing I can say too is in my community, you know, especially for me being an African, we use a lot of the times religion as a way of removing depression. I completely understand that everybody has their way of doing it. I completely understand. But we need to start looking more in depth in, mental health, bringing mental health into the communities. You know what I mean? Like your state of mind, like being able to help those that are dealing with depression. Because a lot of the things that I've noticed is that, even the statistics, like a lot of children of color are losing their life. Like, conclusion to this video, I just want to speak about letting you guys know that, no matter what it is that you're going through, no matter what issues you're dealing with, at the end of the day, just make sure that you're focused. Make sure that you're focused on yourself and stop allowing those around you to have control over your mind. We all have our own minds. There's always going to be public opinions. That's the number one thing into fighting depression is reprogramming your mind. Make sure, try to get into counseling, reading self-help books. Sometimes if you're one that gets depressed quick over comparing yourself to others, walk away from social media for a bit, start analyzing yourself. Meditation is a big thing. I had a really good friend of mine's, and if you're watching this, I just want to let you know thank you. But I had a really good friend of mine's. He's from Jersey at the time. We're really, we're good friends. And he showed me a lot about meditation and using meditation as a way of healing. So I really want to thank him so much for showing me that path because it really helped me with being able to on the journey to fighting away those negative feelings that I had, which in my case was depression, due to years of, emotional abuse, due to years of feeling lonely, due to so much negative thoughts and so many negative people in my life. And I was able to use meditation as a way of reprogramming my mind. I was able to do a lot of reading, just being able to surround myself with positive people, getting the counseling that I needed. And it's not easy every day to go through the shoes of somebody that's dealing with, for example, depression in my case. It's not easy. There's going to be ups and downs, but at the end of the day, making sure that you have a positive environment, even if your environment, the place that you're living in right now, is not the most healthiest place, but making sure that you're able to get yourself in a quiet place, whether it be getting out of your house. There were times where it would be hectic, and I'd be like, you know what? Let me just walk out of my house. Let me just take a walk in my area, go to a quiet space, and just meditate, focus on where I see myself. Sometimes with depression, where depression kind of puts you in a place of the now. It kind of puts you in a place where you're just thinking about right now. You're thinking about the things that you don't like right now. And depression has a way of drowning you in that mess. So sometimes you gotta see yourself 5 years from now. You gotta see yourself where you want to be, the people that you want to surround yourself with in order to get over depression. And that's kind of with me. Like I had to learn to pretty much walk away from the present in a negative way and taking the present as, hey, it's a new day today. I'm not who I was last week. I'm not who I was a few years ago. I don't have those people that brought me down. I don't have all of that around me. I need to learn how to mentally let go of that and pretty much live in the present and pretty much be in a positive place where in my mind I'm thinking, hey, you know what? Things will get better. Things are already better because I'm not where I was before. So now I'm in a better place, and I'm at that place now where I can build that foundation so that my future is going to be way better than what it was in the past. And we need to learn, like my mom always tells me, she always tells me to learn the difference between the present and the past. Like what we're doing now, what's going to happen to us in 5 years. If you're in that couch, if you're in the bed, if you're not doing anything, in 5 years, guess what? You're going to be in that same situation. No. Why? You're not in chains. You're not in chains. Stop allowing depression to get in chains. Like I had to learn how to break those, unseen chains. I had to learn to break those chains, because if I did not break those chains, I would not be able to accomplish what I'm accomplishing right now. This is from a girl who literally was told I wasn't going to make it. I was even encouraged to kill myself. I was encouraged that I wasn't going to be anybody. I allowed those voices, I allowed those things to get into my psyche, to bring me down, to allow other people's opinions of me, to play around me to the point where I wasn't going to do anything. At the age that I'm at now, like being in my 20s right now, like I'm able to accept life. I'm able to have authority over my life. Because a lot of the times, when you give your authority to other people, you know what I mean? That's kind of when you're messed up. Like you're allowing other people's opinions to get into you. Like other people's opinions are their opinions. The thing that matters is your opinion and what opinion matters to you. So for depression, all I can tell you guys is reprogramming the mind. Find a way to reprogram your mind. It starts off by your environment. Before you get into counseling, starts off with yourself by standing up out of that couch, out of that bed, and making that appointment to bettering yourself. What is it that you're looking for? What is it that you want from your life? Is it, are you trying to get your own place? Are you trying to get a better career? Are you trying to pursue your dreams? Because, hell, everybody wants, to live off their dream. Everybody wants a better life. Everybody wants to excel. But when you allow depression, when I was allowing depression to be part of my identity, I didn't do anything. I was just living life, paycheck to paycheck. I was just chilling. Right now, there's just so much, since I was able to let go of depression, which was by reprogramming my mind, changing things the people that I associate with, changing my eating habits, the amount of sleep that I'm getting, even, just dressing good, making yourself look a little good. Like your well-being, the way you carry yourself, it really has an impact on how you feel, and learning. And one thing that's good about depression too was knowing that everybody's opinions don't matter. No matter what, there's always going to be somebody who may not like you. There's always going to be somebody that's always going to find something to nitpick at. You need to let go of it all. Let go of those thoughts. Like other people's opinions do not matter. The only opinion that matters is yourself. And I had to get into that space. And that's why I'm at the place that I am right now, because I was able to let go of those thoughts. I was able to let go of those fears, the fear. All those things add up into depression, and we need to just learn to let go. And it starts off by just letting go of other people's opinions and self-help books. There's so many great books out there, and even counseling, I'm going to put a lot of it in the link below. I'm going to put out numbers that you can call. I'm going to, put some books that I've learned to read, even some YouTubers that I've been following within the last few years. Like there's just so many positive things, some resources that I'm going to put down for you guys to really check out below. And, guys, at the end of the day, like everybody goes through something, and sometimes with depression too, I understand it might be a loved one, might be learning how to cope with something. You don't really know how to cope with a situation, whether it be a family member passed away, a friend passed away. I want you guys to know that there's always a solution and there's always a way. There's always a way, there's always a solution. And I want you guys to know that you guys are loved. You know, if nobody told you they loved you today, I want you to know that I love you guys. Even if I don't know you guys like that, I just want to know that I love you guys because I know your struggle. I know what you guys went through. So I really appreciate you guys so much for your support. Thank you so much, you guys, for listening to my testimony. And I really hope that you guys are able to get the help that you need. I really hope that whoever's watching this right now, if you're in that position right now, please get the help that you need, whether it be going through counseling, whether it be checking out some of the books below, whether it be just reprogramming your mind. Please do something, because I want you to live the best life you can, because guess what? We only have one life, and make sure that you're able to make the best out of the life that you're given, because every day is a blessing. I kid you not, every day we wake up is a blessing. There are people in the hospitals, there are people that can't see, that can't eat, people with HIV. There's just so much things that are going on in this world, and we need to be thankful. The fact that we're healthy, we need to let go of the things that we don't have, and just appreciate the things that we do have. And when you appreciate the things that you have, my brothers and sisters, your life's going to be better. So thank you so much again for watching. I love you guys so much. If you guys have any comments, if you have any stories that you guys want to share, please leave that below in the comment section. Feel free to follow me on Instagram. You know, I have some of my stuff, you know, some of my art stuff, that if you guys want to check that out. You know, if you guys have any questions, please, you know, email me if you have any concerns or anything like that. But I love you so much for your support. Thank you so much, and I love you guys. Peace.